Barbara, thanks for your question. I'll be leading the daily sit on March 2nd. So that will be here before we know it. So friends, welcome if you've just hopped on. I'm Cantor Lizzie Shammash coming to you from snowy Philadelphia, city of brotherly and sisterly love, sending you love. In our practice today, please have a chair without arms and without casters, chair that's stable, and a blanket. And optional are a couple blocks. We'll start in a minute. We're going to begin seated, so I invite you to take a seat, whether it's on a block or blanket or on a chair. So take a comfortable seat where your spine can be tall, either cross-legged or sitting in the chair. Good morning or good afternoon or good early morning, wherever you're joining us from. I'm Cantor Lizzie Shamash, and I'm here in a snowy, beautiful Philadelphia, and I want to welcome this morning really two communities. It's so lovely. We have together our usual Monday online yoga folks, as well as our Chevraya, who are the clergy graduates of the IJS clergy cohort, and they're on retreat this week. And so I welcome all of you beautiful colleagues. It's so nice to be here together. So finding this tall spine, you could even sort of wiggle a little to lift the rib cage off the hips, kind of unstick it. We'll do a brief warm-up, a little bit of teaching, and then a practice which will end with some breath work as well and Shavasana. So I encourage you to stay to the end if you can, and then I'm here for Q&A for about 15 minutes when we finish. So let's begin with a little bit of cat and cow. I'll just show you from the side, a little bit of arch and curl to wake up the spine. As we inhale, begin to lift the spine, lift the heart, rolling to the front of the sitting bones. You might even take the gaze up. And then as we exhale, navel to spine, dropping to the back edge of the two sitting bones, letting the mid-back dome back. Inhale, begin to roll through to this lift, widen the collarbones. Let the heart smile. Exhaling, belly to spine. Crown of the head forward. In your own breath, inhaling, lifting, let it be smooth. We begin to just invite ourselves in to meet the breath, to meet ourselves, the very essence of being. The breath, our tender friend. And then coming back to neutral spine, tall spine. Let's inhale the left arm up overhead. Take a side bend to the right. Extend through those fingertips. If you have any shoulder issues, you may want to bend through the elbow or just keep the arm down entirely. Ground that left sitting bone. Really open. Find some opening in those side ribs. Inhale, come up through center, windmill the arms. We'll take it the other way. Exhaling to the side. Always inviting any kind of wiggling or micro movement to just bring this place alive. Never static. Inhale, come on back up to center. Take the arms wide and the fingertips to the floor. You might even take them to the side and a little bit behind you as we roll the shoulders up and back. Draw the shoulder blades together. And again, nice wide shelf across the collarbones and upper chest. You can press into those fingertips and draw the elbows toward each other, sort of a magnetic attraction toward each other. As we lift the crown, lift also the back of the skull, where the bony part meets the soft part of the neck, the occiput. See if you can bring a little puff of air, of space to the back of the neck. Inhale, lengthen through the spine, nice and tall. And as we exhale, we're going to take a twist to the right. Let your hands be wherever seems to be comfortable. It might be one in front, one in back. You might take the left hand to the right knee. As we stay here and kind of work lightly into this first twist of the day, ground the sitting bones. Inhale, lift the spine. And then as you exhale, maybe the ribs spin just a little from that beautiful staircase of the vertebrae, staircase of the spine. Inhale one more time deeply, lift the crown of the head, and then exhale, come back to center. Just pause here. Inhale, lift, and exhale, twist to the left. And right away we see, oh, it might be different from one side to the other. Without trying to make them even, you can just notice what's here. This side might need more, might wish for less. See if you can honor that. And again, finding the grounding of the sitting bones and the lifting tall on your inhale. And then as you exhale, slight spin of the ribs. Particularly, can you bring some space to the base of the rib cage in the back, those lower ribs, which is essentially giving some space to the diaphragm and to the breath. Oh, and then as you're ready, exhale, come back to center. Okay, friends, so this is exciting. We are looking in the Chevraya retreat this week at emunah, faith, you could say trustfulness, or even trustworthiness when we're talking about the relationship with the body. We're looking at emunah not as a fixed entity, but as a practice, which is a wonderful lens for yoga. And we're looking through the writings and the poetry of the great Israeli poet Zelda Mishkovsky, who's really known just by her first name Zelda, like Cher. She's a one name person. A little bit of brief biographical history for those who are not familiar with Zelda, you soon will be, and will be very excited. Her story is just incredible. She was born in Russia in 1914. She was born into a Lubavitch Hasidic world, and actually was first cousin of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Menachem Mendel Schneerson. Her family came to Palestine in 1926 and they settled in Jerusalem. She died in 1984. She was a teacher and then she was a great poet. Our teacher this week, Melila Hellner-Eshed, called her the mother of women mystic poets in Israel, the mother of women mystic poets. You can imagine, given her Hasidic world and her background, that something utterly different was expected of her than this poetry that flowed forth, this great mystical connection she had. So it really was her destiny. So Zelda said this: there are those who think that if a person is religious, then their faith, as it were, sits in a box. They don't understand that every single day, the believer must renew his or her faith. So this idea that we're not made of cardboard, faith is not static, that we're not just, oh, I'm a person of faith or I'm a person not of faith, but that faith is something that we have to practice and cultivate every single day. And she's acknowledging that a relationship with faith means undergoing cycles of light and darkness. And Zelda speaks a great deal about darkness. She talks about, in some of her writings, a beam of light, kav ha'o, and then that thread from that beam of light being broken and that we can fall into a ditch, a great abyss, a great canal. And that sometimes we go back and forth. Sometimes we can stay in that ditch for the rest of our lives, you know. So how do we sustain our faith during this time, especially pandemic, all that's going on? Big, big question. And one way I know for sure is we can take root in the body and in the breath with no agenda to perfect it, but just to nest here, to root here, to be present here. Yoga is a practice, really an outlined scientific and artistic practice, both for developing and growing faith and growing steadiness. It's a practice for connecting with Rabba emunatecha, like we say every morning in Modeh Ani Lefanecha. Thank you for giving my soul back to me with great faithfulness, your faithfulness in us, Rabba emunatecha. And so even with all that we may like or not like in our body, spots, that parts of our body that betray us even by becoming painful or being injured or becoming closed down, we have the opportunity to follow a flow within the body, really actually a mystery of how the body becomes open, becomes closed, right? We sense that, you know, in our practice. One day so open, and then the next day, how is it we become so closed? So our practice of faith, I think of emunah as it pertains to the on the mat, which leads us, of course, into the world, is that we work to love the body, to love this body, to know this body and love this body exactly where it is in this moment. And lastly, one root meaning of emunah comes from the word omna, which means holding, bearing, supporting, nurturing. An omen or omenet is a caretaking, a nursing father or mother. So emunah is this idea that we can hold the body, cradle the body right where it is. If you think, I think the visual for today's practice is you can imagine the last time you had a little baby in your arms and how that feels, how that felt to protect, to nurture, to support. We can give that kind of love to ourselves in our practice. So let's stand. We're going to begin with with sun salute, and I want to give an offering for those who do not like to come down to the floor and back up for any reason at all. I want to give you a chair alternative for sun salute, which is really great. I'll run you through it quickly, and then I'm going to be modeling without the chair. But I want you to have this so you feel that this practice is absolutely accessible for you. We're starting in mountain pose. We bring the arms up, and actually you could even start close to the chair for some support if you're working with your balance. We fold over, lengthen the spine, and we're going to come to a lunge. You can just take it really close in or farther out, however you are. And plank. And baby cobra will just be a back bend of the heart right here at the chair. For downward facing dog, you'll begin to walk back and work into that L shape. We'll come forward into a lunge again. Feet together, folding over. And then again, arms up if you like, and back to mountain pose, which again, you can, depending on your chair, you have full support, okay? I wanted to offer that. Coming to the top of your mat, and finding mountain pose, stabilizing yourself with the legs together or hip width apart. Bring the palms to the heart and take a moment to ground the four corners of the feet, inner and outer heels, the mound of the big toe across to the mound of the little toe, evenly through the feet, and lift the arches up, supporting ourselves from our own feet in contact with this earth. And feel your breath moving in and out. You might even feel your own heartbeat. We'll inhale the arms out and up overhead, and exhale, dive it forward over the legs, keeping a slight bend on the knee for the moment. Inhale, take hands to shins or to thighs, lengthen the spine, flat back. Exhale and fold in towards the legs. Take the left foot back to a lunge. And lower the knee to down to the mat. Untuck the toes. Coming into a low lunge. And just allow the torso to give some pressure onto the thigh. And let that take you forward. So that the weight of the torso helps the hips to come down. You can really relinquish doing any work in the hips. Let the weight of the torso do that. Let's inhale and draw the hips back so the right leg begins to straighten. And then exhale, bring it forward into that low lunge. And again, inhale, draw back. Exhale. Coming on forward, just noticing these hips today. Take your right hand to your right outer knee and isometrically drawing the knee towards the center line. And you feel as you do that, how the right hip automatically starts to draw back and you begin to square the hips, right? So that the left hip can come forward a little and right hip back. Keeping the integrity of the hips, the low back. That squareness that we always want to find in our standing poses. And then come on up to square, like a proposal pose. Take your right hand to your low back, support your low back. Inhale, bring the left arm forward. And as you exhale, begin to twist to the right. You can maybe take the left hand to the outer right knee. Continue to really give support to your low back. with that right hand as you widen the collarbones. And then if you like, of course, you could go a little further, taking maybe prayer as you slide elbow to outer knee, possibly coming all the way down towards the armpit. Really locking in that twist. Wherever you want to be, the most important thing is the length of the spine first before the twist. And if you're up high, you may want to take that right hand back, send those fingertips back. And then as you're ready, release, bring the hands to either side of the right foot, tuck the toes, step the right foot back, plank position, meeting the left with legs straight or knees bent. Either one. Pause here, build a little heat, draw the belly to the spine. Inhale, long, fill the body, fill the form. And as you exhale, bring yourself down to the floor, down to your forehead. Fingertips come in line with the chest, facing forward. Elbows draw in to hug the chest. Send those 10 toes back. Inhale and lift the crown of the head from length. Shine the heart forward. Exhale, lower the forehead down. We'll take this 2 more times. Inhale, lift, lengthen. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lengthen that tailbone as well as you come up. And on this exhale, we're going to come back either to child pose or to downward facing dog. So either the buttocks to the heels or up to downward facing dog and a upside down V. If you're coming to downward dog, I want to suggest a wonderful variation where you take the hands wide and hold either side of the mat, grip the mat, and take the feet also as wide as the mat. Bend the knees here. Extend through the spine, long torso, long sitting bones. And once you find that length, begin to descend the heels. Gives you a little more space in the shoulders, a little more space through the low back to take this wide variation. And breathe. And then you might walk your feet in just a little bit. Inhale here. And as you exhale, step that left foot forward. And you could take many baby steps or just grab your calf and start to bring it forward. Right knee is down, low lunge here. Again, allowing the torso to be heavy on the thigh. A little bit of pulsing maybe with those hips. Again, just allowing a little bit of movement. So even as you hold, it's not static. Inhale, draw the hips back. Begin to straighten through the left leg. You might bring the toes up. And as you exhale, crawl it forward. Low lunge. And again, inhale, coming back. And exhale, coming forward. Take that left hand to the outer left knee or the upper part of the lower leg. And again, isometrically press against the knee as the knee is also pressing into the hand. Feel how that movement starts to draw that left hip back in space. A little more integrity, a little more openness, a little more trust for that low back. Especially as we begin to contemplate entering a twist. We want to really stabilize the foundation of the twist. So feeling that and then coming on up to square. Taking the left hand again to the sacrum, and you can take it nice and wide, like open the fingertips, really let the palm and the warmth of the palm support the sacrum to hug in. Bring the right hand out in front. Inhale here. And exhale, coming into a twist. So right hand perhaps to outside of left knee. You might come forward and take prayer. See what's there for you. You might take the left hand back in space, opening through that left collarbone and shoulder and extending those fingertips back. Explore that twist. As you're ready, slowly coming on out, taking the hands to either side of the left foot, tuck the back toes, step forward over the legs. And when you land here, widen the feet a little bit. Actually, widen the feet as much as the mat. Turn the toes in just a little bit. Bend the knees and allow the spine to drape. You might take hold of opposite elbows and let the forearms drop. Let the head go a little bit yes and no. Then begin to heel toe the feet a little bit further in so they're hip width. We're going to inhale, take the hands to the shins or the thighs and lengthen out to a flat back. Thigh bones back, crown of the head away. Exhale, fold it down. And then inhale, either rolling up or flat back, taking the arms out and up overhead. Exhaling it down to the heart. Pause here. Soften through the eyes. Just let the muscles around the eyes be easy. And then release the hands. We're going to come to triangle pose. I'm going to model it for you with using a chair as the prop. You could substitute for the chair a block, if you'd like. Or just work free. So we're going to start to the right. Legs wide, left toes in, right toes out. Good. See that the front heel is in line with the back arch. Ground through those legs. So find the emunah, the trustworthiness, the trustfulness of this foundation from the hips down. And from here, we'll take the arms out shoulder height. Inhale, fully fill the lungs. And as you exhale, shift the hips over to the left as if they were on a conveyor belt, really like, and then as you come down, find incredible length first through the spine, and then you'll take the arm down, maybe to the chair, maybe to the block, or to your shin, your ankle, your thigh. Straight legs, really long spine. And then from here we can work, and especially if you are working with the chair, pressing into that hand helps you spin those right ribs under you. You can gaze forward or up. You might take the top arm up. All suggestions. Feel what is right for your body today. Does it feel like bright light? Does it feel like deep darkness? Does it feel somewhere in the middle? Wherever it is, it just is. Press into the feet, inhale to come up. And take your feet to the other side. If you have a prop, take your prop to the other side. Right toes in, left toes out. Legs are straight. I like to take the hands to the hips just to feel where are those hip points to begin with. Draw that outer left hip back. Okay, inhale, press into the feet. As you exhale, shift those hips over to the right. Just shift them over. lengthen through the spine. And once you've found that great length, then you can bring the hand down to the chair, to the block, to the calf, the ankle, wherever you are here. Long spine. And then begin to press into that hand to spin those bottom ribs forward. Shine that heart open. You can take the top arm up if you like. You can take the gaze up if you like. Press into the feet. Inhale to come up. Beautifully done, everyone. Heel toe or jump the feet together. You can move the chair over to the side. We're going to come onto the back. Lay it down on your back. Knees bent, feet to the floor. If your floor is cold or if you'd like some extra padding, of course, pad up your mat. That can be very nice. Let's bring the heels in toward the buttocks, as close in as you can. And take hold with the hands on either side of the mat. Give us a little bit of grounding here. We're going to come up into bridge pose in a moment. But first, just finding this new relationship with gravity. Allowing the spine to settle. Allowing the body to give over a little bit, trusting in the floor, the earth to hold you. Rabbah emunatecha. The floor is right here for us. So see if you can just relinquish 5 or 10 or 15% of the effort. Maybe you can release in the jaw or in the back of the neck or the furrow of the brow. Or 5% of the tightness in the belly. Let's take a nice inhale. Fill the belly. As you exhale, navel to spine, lengthen the tailbone, press into the feet, and begin to lift the thighs, the hips, coming up vertebra by vertebra. We won't come too high in this first one. Roll the shoulders under you a little bit, and again, use that grip on the mat to help widen the upper chest. Bring your awareness to the upper arm bones, rolling out. Back of the neck long. Knees parallel. Couple of breaths here. And as you're ready, on an exhale, rolling down one vertebra at a time. Good. Once you get to the bottom, we're just going to bring it on up again. So inhaling. And then exhaling, beginning to move. Lengthen the tailbone, press into the feet. Find that length as you lift up vertebra by vertebra. You may want to keep the hands here. You may wriggle the shoulders under you a little more. Clasp hands or take hold of the ankles. Whatever you like for a variation. If your hands are clasped, you'll send the knuckles away. If the shoulders are tight, that just remaining with that grip on the outer edges of the mat is a beautiful, beautiful choice. We don't want to create more congestion. Good. Pressing in, especially to the mound of the big toe, especially the inner heel down as you lift the thighs. See if you can resist from squeezing in the buttocks. See if you can release any effort in the buttocks. Open up some space in the lower back. And then as you're ready, undoing, unwinding, rolling down one vertebra at a time. Let's hug the knees to the chest. You can take a little roll side to side with that. Take the arms out, shoulder height, palms facing up. Inhale. Exhale those knees over to the right side, taking a twist. Grounding that left shoulder. Really taking this opportunity to fill through that left lung up into the upper part of the lobe, right? With this a real benefit to the respiratory system, the immune system. To open those upper quadrants of the chest. As you're ready, inhaling back through center. Might need to shift the hips a little bit. And exhaling, take the knees over to the left. So in this palms up variation, you can really lay the whole landscape of the right shoulder blade down. And then also the front of the right shoulder, the right upper chest. The right upper lobe of the lung. And then inhale, bring it back to center, give the knees another hug. You might take the hands to the kneecaps and take circles. Slowly make your way up to a seated position. Come to one side and press up through the arms. We're going to take the blanket and we're going to take the chair, facing the chair. Now you'll sit on the blanket, and having this little bit of lift is helpful to the hamstrings and the low back to give us some lift. If it's too much to extend the legs straight, just keep a slight bend on the knees here. The premium, the thing we really want, is the support for the low back. We don't want to be hunched here. So just this work to come towards the front of the sitting bones can be plenty. Now if you're here, you'll take your hands to the chair. Press the hands down and feel from that pressing down how the chest lifts up. Depending on how your chair is constructed, like for instance, I have a little bar at the back of my chair. If you have something like that, you can press the front arch of the foot into the chair. So pressing the hands down into the chair, let the torso lift. You might stay right here, or you might begin to come forward with each exhale. So with the inhale, have faith that you can lift the spine, and with the exhale, having faith that you can come forward. And you might begin to walk your hands forward, taking the outer sides of the chair, the top of the chair. If you'd like, you could make fists and let your forehead rest. Follow the body's call. Follow the kav ha'or, the beam of light, of internal wisdom. Notice any ego striving. That's usually a nice red flashing light to say, hey, let's back out. Let's come back a little. It's not where we really are today. We don't get points for going further into the pose. In fact, usually it's how we injure ourselves when we don't heed that message. And as you're ready, releasing, we'll take the legs cross-legged, and we're going to take the arms to the chair. I'm actually going to bring my chair in a little bit and take my legs a little wider. I'll show you why, to rest a little more of the arms on the chair. I'm going to do a bit of a breath practice here. So the legs should be easy, however you have them arranged. And the benefit of the arms on the chair, if you'll notice, is you get a nice lift to these side ribs and these back ribs. Really a fullness, and you can let the arms just drop in. Keep the eyes open or closed as feels more comfortable for you. We're simply going to begin to draw our awareness to the breath coming and going. Another option is you could bend at the elbows and take the forehead into the palms, let it rest. Anytime we offer some support like this, we send a message to the nervous system that it can rest. It's nothing to do. You might try both ways and see what you like, see what you notice. So allowing the breath to come and go. See if you can become attuned to that greater expansion, to the ribs directly under the armpits, particularly side and back. Let the breath come and go through the nose. Follow its texture, its landscape. Where is it smooth? Where are you inclined to grip it, to hold it? And you may notice as you go a natural suspension at the top of the inhale and a natural suspension at the bottom of the exhale, at the end of the exhale. I say top because as we inhale, we fill belly, middle ribs, middle chest, upper chest. There's a natural suspension and pause. And then as we exhale, it's upper chest, middle chest, belly, all the way down to the root of the pelvic bowl with a natural pause. And if you can't really locate these landmarks, don't worry, don't grip to try. Just see what you do notice. And ask yourself this question, kinesthetically speaking, ask yourself this question: do I have more faith in the inhale or more faith in the exhale? Or is it even? Do I have more faith in the return of the inhale after a full cycle? Or more faith that I can make a complete exhale? Which part of the breath helps me to cultivate a natural faith. And then as you're ready, returning the breath to normal, we're going to come to Shavasana with the legs on the chair. You may want to use the blanket under your head or to cover your body or to give you some support on the chair. We're going to take a variation with the lower leg on the chair. So all the way up to the back of the knee. The lower leg rests on the chair. You could even take the knees and feet as wide as the chair. Let the hips come a little bit away from the chair so you have an angle with the thighs. And then lay it back. If you're wearing glasses, remove your glasses. You might wriggle the shoulder blades under you. Tuck them under like wings. Notice how that lets the collarbones shine forward. Might even give some release to the jaw hinge. And let the palms face up. Give yourself a few minutes of total quiet, total surrender. Just let go of the fruits, the efforts of the practice. Having faith in the fruits that will manifest. You have nothing you have to do, nowhere you have to go. The word emunah is also related to amen. Amen. A sense of affirmation and trust. Rabbi Art Green says emunah connotes affirmation with the entire self. And that emunah shlema, as dictated by Maimonides, a complete faith, is, quote, a faith that carries us far beyond just believing into the realm of deepest sureness. So with maybe just a raindrop, a little tipa, drop of deepest sureness, begin to deepen the breath. Wiggle the fingers and the toes. You might take the arms overhead towards the floor and make a nice yawn, sigh, stretch. Breathe your body open. And as you're ready, hug the knees to the chest, roll to the side. Come up to a comfortable seat, spine tall. And take a moment to witness this breath, this body. this one bit of practice, consistent practice that deepens our emunah. Thank you all for practicing today. So beautiful. Shavua Tov. I am happy to stay for a little bit for any thoughts or questions about our practice today or our practice in general. Thank you so much for being with us. So if you have a question, feel free to unmute and ask.
That was beautiful, Lizzie. Thank you so much. I sent you a private message for later.
Yeah,
Great.
it was, thank you, Lizzie. It was beautiful. Stay dry. Stay dry.
Did you snowshoe?
Shavua Tov.
Yeah.
No snowshoeing.
Well, take care and be well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mona. I think we got a lot of sleep here, so you know what? I'm gonna mute all because it's a little wild. But maybe if you have a question, unmute yourself and ask. Ask away.
Hi, Lizzie. It's Lauren.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi. Beautiful class that you did in the retreat as well.
Thanks.
And you mentioned a podcast about embodiment. I haven't been able to find it. Could you say again what that was?
Absolutely. It was Philip Shepherd. I'll put it into the chat. Is the wonderful gentleman's name. I think this is the spelling. It's called the Embodiment Podcast or the Embodied Podcast. And he was episode number 191. And it was heaven.
Do you recall, was that an insight or a separate thing? 191. Okay.
191 is the episode.
Thank you.
There are like 300 episodes of this podcast. It'll keep you satisfied for life. I just put it into the chat, and if you can't find it, just email me, Lauren.
Thank you.
Sure. Eileen asked for the source for those Art Green quotes. They're actually in the Lev Shalem Sidur. On the side, I think like by Micha Mocha in the weekday evening is where I found them. And if you don't find them, just hop back to me and I'll send them over to you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Jacqueline.
Hi,
Good to see you.
I know it's been a long time. I have like a 3-part question, but they're all like brief. So one is I wanted to know I have an extra wide mat that's like thick. And so when you say grab the outside of the mat, what I do is kind of just push down on it as an alternative, because if I were to grab the outside, it would be like much wider than me. And also I don't have a chair I can put on it or it would like leave an impression. So it occurred to me during Shavasana that I used my yoga ball instead to put
Great. That's great. Or you could, you know, I think you're all getting very versatile in the language of props as we go. You know, use what feels good for you. It might be a rolled blanket under your knees. You know, you may not like the chair as much as I do. Obviously, if I'm saying take your arms as wide as the mat, I don't mean the width of your mat. So do as works for you. I want to also highlight that Adi put that Zelda quote into the chat and a little more information on Zelda into the chat. And I think he might have also put for us where you can find Zelda's poetry. There's one volume of selected poems on Amazon, translated by the awesome Marcia Falk. And yeah, there we go. The Spectacular Difference by Marcia Falk. So you could find that. Jacqueline, there was another question?
So my technical question is because it's hard for me to come at this time. If there's been any thought as to whether this would be made available either later today or the same week, like if anyone's, because I literally haven't been able to come in months, and
Thus far, no, but since Adi's wonderful arrival at IJS, we're working on getting our YouTube page up and running and posting the yoga sessions so that they would be available to you during the week. So no promises for timing on this, but we're working on it. We're working on it. So thanks.
Lizzie,
Yes. Hi, David.
hi. This is
Where,
David
where are you located?
in Vermont.
Ah, nice. Where?
Greetings from Vermont guy. Saxon's River.
Beautiful.
And
Welcome.
I've been really enjoying your yoga sessions. They're marvelous.
Thank you.
The question I had, would you mind repeating? I missed it. Art Green, the quote you gave from Art Green this morning.
Yeah, I will. So this is in relation to emunah and amen, right? Aleph, mem, nun, amen. So when we say amen to a bracha, we're giving an affirmation, right? So he says emunah connotes affirmation with the entire self. And then he also said regarding emunah shlema, complete faith, right? Ani ma'amin be'emunah shlema, from the 13 articles of faith of Maimonides. Art Green says it's, quote, a faith that carries us far beyond just believing into the realm of the deepest sureness.
The deepest sureness.
Deepest sureness.
Sureness. Great.
So that's what I was trying to get to in our practice today, that finding our way into the body just a little bit at a time, day by day, week by week, we are finding our way into this deepest sureness.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a perfection. It's not, oh, I'm so open everywhere in my body. That's not realistic. We're in Olam Hazeh, this world, right? There are always going to be issues, but some kind of sureness, right? And our practice, I think, really helps us to build that.
Thank you.
Sure, of course. Great to see you, David.
I want to have something to offer everyone. I'm in recovery 7 years now, and
Amen.
amen.
Mazal tov, Jody.
Wonderful, wonderful life that I never imagined, beyond my wildest dreams, actually. But leading up to that decision or serendipity to get some help, my health was just horrible. And I know now that God was telling me to pay attention to my body because I would not pay attention to the stressors. And I would not pay attention to how ineffectual I felt in doing my work. So as a personal and professional and all kinds of realms, I just so totally locked up and determined to bootstrap my way through life, and never mind who, all the dead bodies in my wake, kind of a thing. And so the initially we learned that the drug or the alcohol is but a symptom. And I got that. I started realizing that all I could do was body work on the stuff. Because I believe when I get sick or when I get hurt or when I develop a disease, which an autoimmune disorder, anything, it's God telling me to pay attention. I gave a lot of lip service to self-care for many, many years. And I did not dive deep into it, and I didn't really do it. So that's a huge part of my recovery, is this understanding what behaviors, what actions I take that are caring, that are self-caring, and what that are self-harming. And of course, I wrote you a note way at the beginning, and I was
I see this.
Okay, so and I have another conversation that I'm hoping to have with you offline. But the point is that my body is the first source of balance, strength and flexibility that I wish to bring to all realms of my life, to my spirit, to my mind, to my emotions. So physical, mental, all in all realms, I wish to seek balance.
In a few minutes, I'll go.
Flexibility. I'm sorry? Flexibility and strength. And by focusing on that, I was able to uncover and open up enough to really get in touch with all that deep, the deep excavation that I've had to do about where this stuff comes from and whether I can release it and, you know, all that kind of happy stuff. So I wanted to share that with everybody because it's so important to get back to basics, to the body, because the body is wise and God works through our bodies. And if we just pay attention, or at least that's been my experience.
Thank you, Jody. That's just like a beautiful testimonial, I think, to kind of remind us. What did you say? Like the body is the first line of defense? I mean, I think that that's what we're hoping for, and that's what we're working toward as we do this listening practice, this emunah practice. Because I think for many, the body is like the last one we hear. Like you said, right, pre-recovery, we just push ourselves so hard. That's why, you know, I've been practicing yoga almost 30 years. My yoga practice has changed so drastically over time. And now the yoga that I'm really interested in is certainly not the yoga of pretty poses. It's the yoga of safe poses, safety, and the yoga of just listening and just finding, you know, you'll often hear me say, what would be most delicious right now? Just having this little space, and it's not a luxury, it's not a luxury, to practicing what would be delicious within, right? And honoring that with so much compassion that we have a template for how we can be in the world.
Exactly.
Right? It's never just the ma'ani for my own sake. It's for the sake of tikkun olam. It's for the sake of bringing it outward, right? So thank you. Any other questions? And maybe I'll take one more question. And
This one is kind of related to that. It's that I in the past have had a neck injury.
I can't hear you very well.
Sorry, in the past I had a neck injury. So I'm okay doing certain things like the shaking the head, yes or no, but for long periods of time, if my neck is unsupported, it's a problem. But I use like a half block underneath it, like when we're lying flat on the back. Do you have any other kind of neck protection recommendations? Because I can do things. It's only if we're in something.
Yeah, good question, Jacqueline. So one thing I like to do sometimes is just, you know, take the blanket and make a small roll, like start the jelly roll so that your head can come over and rest here and the jelly roll piece is supporting your neck. That's a really nice thing to do. Or you could roll a sweater, or you could have a little pillow, but something to actually support the curve of the cervical spine. Look, I've had a lot of neck problems too, and it's really common as we get into this computer use and everything. And also as we age, we get more stenosis, we get more squishing of the spine, right? So, and we lose our spinal curves. Spine starts to flatten both in the low back, we lose that curve in, and in the cervical spine, we start to lose that curve in. So you want to support it really well. And that's a really good therapeutic move. And then of course, if it's not painful, don't do it.
Like when lying down, like I tend to support my neck well when I'm lying down. And I'm thinking more of like the poses where we're bending over for a long
You can use the wall. You can use the wall.
Okay.
I want to give some equal time to some others. Are there any other questions? Okay, my lovely friends. It was great to be with you. Stay well, and we'll see you next week.